Table of contents. Facility designations. Site. Area. Facility sections. Sector. Unit. Prefixes. Armed. Biological. Bio. Containment. Dimensional. Dim. Humanoid. Protected. Provisional. Reliquary. Research. Storage. Miscellaneous. Observation posts. Facilities list. Abridged. Sites. Areas. Facility designations. The Foundation maintains and operates a large number of facilities worldwide, from small outposts with only a handful of staff to major sites with thousands of personnel. Site. Foundation facilities designated as sites are covert facilities, meaning that while existence of the facility is known to the public, such facilities are often disguised under government or corporate fronts. Sites are often built in locations in relatively close proximity to civilian populations, where facilities would require such cover. Area. Foundation facilities designated as areas are clandestine facilities, meaning that civilians are not aware of their existence at all. Such facilities are often built far away from civilian populations and may contain highly dangerous anomalies. The vast majority of areas have extreme fail-safe measures such as on-site nuclear warheads. Facility sections. Sector. Sectors are sections of sites or areas that are designated for specific purposes, such as containment, research, or storage. The exact usage of sectors vary from facility to facility and is dependent on the facility's primary purpose and size. Unit. Units are self-contained sections of sites or areas such as those containing biological or dimensional anomalies and are designed to self-seal in case of a breach or other catastrophic event. All personnel entering or exiting unit must typically undergo a full decontamination procedure. Prefixes. These prefixes are often used to denote specializations of facilities or facility sections and are generally only used in internal communication. Armed. Armed denotes a facility or facility section with abnormally high physical security concerns, either due to containment of violent hostile entities or threat of outside attack. Such facilities typically have a large amount of military-grade weaponry and vehicles as well as a disproportionately large number of permanent security staff. In the case of a full facility, this typically entails a detachment of at least battalion or regiment strength. Biological. Bio. Biological containment facilities or facility sections deal with infectious or otherwise biohazardous anomalies and are both isolated and self-contained to prevent a possible escape of such anomalies. Containment. Containment facilities or facility sections are primarily equipped and intended for the containment of anomalous objects, entities, or phenomena. Dimensional. Dim. Dimensional containment facilities or facility sections deal with extra-dimensional apertures or anomalies exhibiting inconsistent or warped spacetime. Humanoid. Humanoid containment facilities or facility sections primarily deal with sentient, sapient human or near-human entities capable of understanding and complying with instructions. These are essentially analogous to a prison facility for anomalous entities. Protected. Protected facilities and facility sections are safe zones kept free of anomalous influence. No anomalies are allowed within these facilities at any time. Provisional. Provisional facilities are those that are established or built around an immobile anomaly. Provisional facilities typically contain only a single anomaly. Reliquary. Reliquary facilities or facility sections are designed for handling artifacts and objects of religious or historical significance. Research. Research facilities or facility sections are designed for either the handling and study of anomalies or anomalous materials or research and development of new containment schemes and methods. Storage. Storage facilities or facility sections are intended for long-term storage of non-anomalous or inert anomalous objects with no risk of autonomous interaction. Miscellaneous. These are foundation facilities or locations that do not fall under the standard organizational structure. Observation posts. Observation posts are tiny facilities established in a multitude of locations worldwide. Often limited to small standalone buildings or single units within larger buildings, observation posts are typically used to monitor regional communications for flagged content, as well as monitor nearby foundation facilities. Many observation posts are also used as secure communications hubs or safe houses by undercover foundation agents. Facilities list, abridged. The following is a partial list of notable foundation facilities. Please note that this list is incomplete. Many foundation facilities are not listed here due to operational security requirements or because their purpose and/or location are classified. Many facility designations have also been recycled over time as the original facilities are decommissioned or otherwise no longer in use. Sites. Site 01. Protected Site 01. Overwatch HQ. Site 01 is a safe zone that acts as a data backup for all major foundation facilities worldwide as well as a secure meeting facility for O5 council members and other high-ranking foundation personnel. As with all protected sites, no anomalies of any kind are allowed in proximity of Site 01. The location of Site 01 is strictly classified. Site 063. Humanoid Containment Site 063. Site 063 is a containment facility that is currently located in the Lorraine region of France. Formerly located in the United States, Site 06, and Germany, Site 062. This facility was moved to its current location following the decommission and demolition of the aforementioned previous facilities. Site 063 employs a multinational staff and houses numerous low-risk human and humanoid entities, most notably several former Foundation personnel. Objects contained at this facility include SCP-069, SCP-706, SCP-1669, SCP-1702. Site 11. Site 11 is a large-scale Foundation facility located in the Midwestern United States consisting of an entire self-sustaining community including residential housing, commercial businesses, and industrial manufacturing facilities as well as an extensive underground containment and research complex. The Foundation maintains strict tracking of all personnel and civilians within Site 11 and as such, the facility is often used as a safe location for personnel requiring additional security and protection. Objects contained at this facility include SCP-986, SCP-4332. Site 15. Site 15 is a Foundation facility located on the United States West Coast that specializes in the containment and study of electric, electronic, and computer-based anomalies. The primary storage and containment wings of Site 15 are electromagnetically isolated to prevent any interaction between anomalous electronics and the outside world. Objects contained at this facility include SCP-079, SCP-719, SCP-896. Site 17. Site 17 is a major Foundation facility primarily focused on the containment and study of low-risk humanoid entities. As per this focus, Site 17's permanent site staff includes a large number of medical and psychiatric professionals. Objects contained at this facility include SCP-073, SCP-105, SCP-343. Site 19. Site 19 is the largest Foundation facility currently in operation, housing hundreds of safe and Euclid-class anomalies. Objects contained at this facility include SCP-055, SCP-131, SCP-173, SCP-387, SCP-668, SCP-931. Site 23. Site 23 houses a number of metamorphic or transfiguring biological objects and entities. Objects contained at this facility include SCP-038, SCP-113. Site 28. Provisional Containment Site 28. Site 28 is located in the Soho neighborhood of New York City, New York, United States, and was initially established to contain SCP-602. Since then, this facility has been expanded into a full-fledged Foundation containment facility specializing in anomalous artwork and artifacts. Objects contained at this facility also include SCP-1229, SCP-1388. Site 36. Formerly Provisional Site 36. This facility is located in India and serves as both a regional containment site as well as a support facility for field personnel operating in the area. Objects contained at this facility include SCP-089, SCP-1135. Site 38. Site 38 is a containment site in rural Tennessee, United States, primarily focused on the study of Group of Interest 388 Alpha, Alex Silver University. Objects contained at this facility include SCP-961, SCP-1080, SCP-1893, SCP-1082. Site 43. Research and Containment Site 43. Site 43 is situated on the southeastern shore of Lake Huron, 1 kilometer below sea level in Ipperwash Provincial Park, Ontario, Canada. It comprises containment wings for low to medium risk anomalies, research divisions arranged in a pseudo-academic structure, and abatement refineries for esoteric substances. Objects contained at this facility include SCP-5056, SCP-5109, SCP-5243, SCP-5382, SCP-5494 and SCP-5520. Site 45. Research Site 45. Site 45 is a clandestine armed research facility located off the coast of Western Australia under the Indian Ocean. Here, research and temporary containment of anomalous objects are conducted under guard and away from a civilian populace. Site 45 also serves as a staging point for MTF operations within the Pacific and Indian Oceans. Objects located at the facility include SCP-321, SCP-2401, SCP-466, SCP-127, SCP-2424, and SCP-1577. Site 54. Integrated Containment Site 54. Site 54 is a containment facility located in, around, and beneath the city of Leipzig, Germany, specializing in the containment of those anomalies deemed partially uncontainable. The site's staff are heavily armed, highly trained, and permanently on edge. Featuring an extensive rapid response vehicle hangar, with transport both normal and anomalous, and wide array of holding cells, Site 54 is generally considered to be the Foundation site both best prepared for the worst to happen, and the location at which said worst is most likely to occur. Objects currently under the facility's jurisdiction include SCP-265, SCP-1911, SCP-2668, SCP-2790, SCP-2856, SCP-3663, and SCP-4856. Site 56. Established in the Black Rock Desert of Nevada, May 1972, Site 56 was intended to serve as the base of operations for the enactment of the Kraken Protocol within the American Southwest. Over time, Site-56 took on increasing responsibilities, eventually transitioning into a full-fledged containment and administration site. However, recent Overwatch audits suggest its expansion has surpassed its budgetary and logistical limitations, and personnel frequently cite its labyrinthine structure as a detriment to day-to-day operations. Objects contained on site include SCP-4495 and SCP-5444, with select off-site anomalies such as SCP-5994 falling under its jurisdiction as well. Site-62, Dimensional Site-62. Formerly Provisional Site-62, this facility was initially built around SCP-004. The facility was eventually expanded to house other objects including SCP-579. Site-64. Storage Site-64. Located approximately 0.5 kilometers below Forest Park, northwest of Portland, Oregon. Site-64 is primarily a low to medium security storage facility, and is mainly used to house minor anomalous items and safe Euclid-class objects confiscated from the anomalous art community and anomalous electronics industry based in Portland and Vancouver. Objects located at this facility include SCP-2106, SCP-2306, SCP-2608, SCP-2806, and SCP-2960. Site-66, Biological Containment Site-66, Biosite-66. Originally built as Provisional Site-66 around SCP-1479, this facility was eventually expanded to contain and research biological and organic anomalies. Objects contained at this facility include SCP-478, SCP-569, SCP-646, SCP-806, SCP-886. Site-73. Site-73 is a facility converted from an office building in Texas, designed for the containment and study of inert, safe class, or otherwise benign anomalous objects. Objects contained at this facility include SCP-1454, SCP-1156, SCP-1176, SCP-1520. Site-76. Research, Reliquary, and Containment Site-76. Site-76 is a major containment site located in the United States and housing a large number of anomalous objects presumed to be man-made. Objects contained at this facility include SCP-140, SCP-1883. Site-77. Storage Site-77. One of the Foundation's largest storage facilities. Site-77 was initially built in 1924 in southern Italy and served as an Italian facility until the Second World War, when it was damaged by Allied bombing and subsequently destroyed by a containment breach. Site-77 was taken over by the Foundation and rebuilt in 1944. Objects currently contained at this facility include SCP-703, SCP-1837, SCP-2322. Site-81. Research and Containment Site-81. Located beneath Lake Monroe in Bloomington, Indiana, Site-81 is the primary hub for anomalous activity in the United States Midwest. Initially founded as an expeditionary site to monitor SCP-2812, Site-81 has since grown to become one of the largest sites in the region. Located within is the Foundation's Classifications Department, as well as a massive mobile task force deployment outpost. Objects contained at this site include SCP-715, SCP-2080, SCP-2151, SCP-2270, SCP-2445, SCP-2496, SCP-2540, SCP-2564, SCP-2996. Site-87. Research Site-87. Site-87 is a research site established in September 1976 to oversee containment of a minor anomaly in the town of Sloth's Pit, Wisconsin, USA. POP 17291 as of 2020. In that same month, researchers discovered that Sloth's Pit was a highly active nexus, an inhabited zone that has a high concentration of anomalous phenomena. Site-87's civilian front is S&C Plastics, and it possesses its own task force, Sigma-10, the Sloth's Arm, dedicated to containment of anomalies within city limits. Citizens of Sloth's Pit are considered E-Class personnel, and have knowledge of the Foundation insofar as a research organization is monitoring the town. The primary goal of Site-87 is to research and catalog anomalies in Sloth's Pit, such as SCP-4040. However, it is also the headquarters of the Department of Multi-Universal Affairs, Nexological Studies, and serves as regional command for the Midwestern United States. A catalog of incidents that have taken place at Site-87 and within the Sloth's Pit Nexus Zone can be found here. Site-88, Humanoid Containment Site-88. Humanoid Containment Site-88 is located in central Baldwin County, Alabama. The site houses many humanoid SCP objects, along with several high-value anomalous items. While research is not a primary focus of the site has the capacity for, and has seen many research projects related to its occupants. Objects contained at this site include SCP-245, SCP-1774, SCP-1868, SCP-2065, SCP-2067, SCP-2251, SCP-2725, SCP-2343, SCP-2632, SCP-2714, SCP-2968, SCP-2987. Site-91. Xenobiological Research and Containment Site-91. Established as Provisional Site-91 in 1986 shortly after the discovery of SCP-4612, the site was fully commissioned by Overwatch Command the following year. Site-91 was originally adapted from its previous use to contain SCP-4612, which was found in the substructure below the manor. It was expanded to a full containment facility, research lab and library. The site is located upon the grounds of a manor commonly known as Eckhart House, located in Yorkshire, England. The site's research focuses the containment and analysis of xenobiological specimens, with a secondary focus of the development of thaumaturgical countermeasures and containment of thaumaturgical artifacts. Serves as the primary station for MTF Beta 777, Hecate's Spear, due to their familiarity and expertise in thaumaturgical analysis. Objects contained at this facility include SCP-3743, SCP-4612, SCP-4712, SCP-5079, SCP-5512, and SCP-5612. Site-95. Biological Research and Containment Site-95. Biosite-95. Site-95 is a small but well-equipped site used to contain and research biological and organic anomalies. Objects contained at this facility include SCP-1077, SCP-1160, SCP-3043, SCP-3117, SCP-3143, SCP-5144 and SCP-5771. Site-98, Dimensional Research Site-98. Site-98 serves as the forefront of Foundation technology. Stationed in the city of Philadelphia, Site-98 is responsible for the bleeding-edge technological developments and innovations that help the Foundation contain, analyze, and research the various anomalous threats that endanger the world. Site-98 is often considered as the most technologically advanced research facility in the Foundation. Objects currently documented in this site include SCP-179, SCP-1152, SCP-1287, SCP-2009, SCP-2115, SCP-2703, SCP-2716, SCP-4156, SCP-4192, SCP-4366, SCP-4797, and SCP-4880. Site-103, Biological Containment Site-103. Site-103 has extensive facilities for the containment and research of plant and plant-based anomalies. Objects contained at this facility include SCP-757, SCP-822, SCP-1001. Site-104, Biological Research Site-104. Formerly Provisional Site-104. This facility is operated under the guise of a wildlife preserve and is designed for study of and experimentation on biological anomalies with wide-ranging effects. Objects contained at this facility include SCP-628, SCP-936, SCP-1104. Site-111, Industrial Research Site-111. Site-111 is located underground beneath Captain's Mountain in southern Queensland, Australia. Its primary focus is anomalous materials and technology. The location of Site-111 is intended to strengthen the Foundation's presence in Eastern Australia, where anomalies have been discovered and contained before. Although the site does have the ability to house contained anomalies, there are none yet housed there. Areas: Area 02, Armed Reliquary and Containment Area 02. Area 02 is a remote facility whose primary purpose is to contain highly dangerous, hostile, or otherwise hazardous anomalies, including multiple Keter-class objects. In addition to a battalion-strength security detachment, Area 02 is also equipped with multiple nuclear fail-safes as a final option in the case of a catastrophic breach or loss of containment. Objects contained at this facility include SCP-122, SCP-743. Area 12, Biological Research Area 12. Area 12 is a containment and research facility located on remote federal land in the Midwestern United States. Area 12 contains both live specimens of anomalous biological entities as well as samples of biohazardous or otherwise dangerous biological anomalies for study. Objects contained at this facility include SCP-143, SCP-153, SCP-214, SCP-811, SCP-939. Area 14, Armed Biological Containment Area 14. Area 14 is a dedicated containment facility located in the Ruby Mountains of Nevada, United States. Area 14 is primarily used for large-scale, dangerous, and/or hostile anomalous entities and as such is staffed with a regiment-strength security detachment as well as heavy weapons, armored vehicles, and air support. Objects contained at this facility include SCP-058, SCP-082, SCP-165, SCP-326, SCP-939, SCP-940, SCP-1801, SCP-2068. Area 27, Reliquary Area 27. Area 27 is an underground facility operating beneath the St. Notre Dame Cathedral Basilica in Ontario, Canada. Area 27's main purpose is to serve as both headquarters for the Department of Tactical Theology and as emergency quartering in the case of a large-scale K-class scenario. The site is also capable of containing primarily religiously orientated anomalies and the development of theological weaponry. Objects located at this facility include SCP-5502, SCP-5993, Area 32, Lunar Area 32. Comprised of several floors beneath the surface of Mare Imbrium, Lunar Area 32 is a facility used to contain immobile anomalies present on the lunar surface, or anomalies that are significantly less hazardous to contain beyond Earth's atmosphere. Objects located at this facility include SCP-2493, SCP-2686, and SCP-2821. Area 179. Formerly Provisional Containment Area 179. This facility is located in Pennsylvania, United States. Objects contained at this facility include SCP-1050, SCP-1179.